There's only one source of truth. There's only one source that is actually worth listening, that is basically telling you what to do, what to say, where to go at all times. And when you understand that, it will make, like, you'll be amazed by how fast you will progress in basically every area of your life. And you'll be amazed how easy life can be when you finally understand this. Not just understanding, actually applying that. Okay. So when I talk about this source of truth, now there are so many labels that you can use for it, right? Some people would call it, your soul, or God even, or the universe, or the quantum field, or the subconscious mind, or whatever. Like you can give it all kinds of names. Okay, I don't care about that. But if you want to locate it, like in your body, or the place where it communicates with you, it's kind of like this area, right? So it's not this one, it's this one. Okay. Um, Basically, I'm talking about feelings, emotion, those kind of things, right? I think people don't understand that it's actually communication. It's not just some random things that pop up sometimes. It's communication, right? So think about very obvious things like being hungry, being thirsty, right? You don't just get hungry randomly or thirsty randomly. You get hungry because there is a need for you, to have some food, right? Because you need energy, or you need some nutrients, or when you get thirsty, probably because you need water, right? Obviously. Now, we can understand a lot of things nowadays, like we can look inside our bodies with all kinds of machines and stuff, right? Devices. So we can see that there are electrolytes and there is some sort of a balance or imbalance, and we can see the micronutrients and whatever, right? We can measure those things. But if you go back like hundreds of years ago, we didn't know any of this stuff, right? We didn't know what electrolytes are. We didn't know what micronutrients are, vitamins and proteins and whatever. Like we didn't know any of that, right? And we didn't have to know, right? We still had the same communication, right? So when we were thirsty, we drank water. When we were hungry, we ate some food. It's that easy, right? But when you, like, nowadays, we can actually see how complex this is, right? So in order to identify when your body needs water, there is a lot of like calculation stuff that is going on, right? Again, you need to maintain a balance in electrolytes, and this is why sometimes you want to drink water, sometimes you want to eat something salty, because there has to be a balance, right? Now, our mind is completely unaware of that, right? Like, our logical mind has no idea what's actually going on, so it cannot calculate that. But at the same time, it doesn't need to, right? Because there is something else, right? This is like the source. I just like to call it, intelligence or infinite intelligence. Again, you can call it what you want, but this thing does the calculation for you. And it gives you very easy to follow, easy to understand, easy to translate feeling, right? It's just thirst. Everyone knows what it is. Like, I'm thirsty, I will go to the kitchen, I will have some water, right? I don't have to know exactly like what my level of potassium is or something, right? I just follow the thing. All right, the same with hunger, right? Now, there's another feeling, and there are a lot of feelings, but there's another feeling that is crucial for us, and it's the feeling of interest. Now, again, when you think about it, the feeling of hunger, feeling of thirst, and all those things, or even like being tired, right? Basically, nothing of that stuff is random. There's always communication. So when you are like tired, it's the same thing that is telling you, okay, you are very close to the edge, right? So just take a fucking break, right? It's not a random thing. Now, this is something that people kind of ignore already, right? Like they just drink another coffee or Red Bull or something, right? And they just hustle, right? Now, you can do this for a while. You can also ignore the hunger and the thirst for a while, but you know what will happen when you do it too long, right? So interest or excitement is one of those things, and this is actually what I want to talk about in this video. I only have 10 minutes on TikTok, so I'm just trying to give you like as many examples as possible, right? But interest is the same thing. Now, sometimes you're interested in something that doesn't make sense, right? So let's say this is actually what happened to me 2 days ago. So right now I'm writing a book, right? So I have no idea how to write a book. I've never written a book, but I just felt inspired to start writing a book. And 2 days ago, I planned to write at least one page in the evening, okay? And then when the evening came, I I couldn't make myself write it. Like I couldn't do it because there was something else that was more interesting for me right now in that moment, right? Something was more exciting to me, and I couldn't stop myself from doing that, right? So I was researching something else, and in the past I would judge myself for it. I would be like, okay, but you've planned to write this page, and like now you failed, and you're this lazy guy and stuff. But now that I understand this thing, I didn't judge myself. I was like, no, I did the most natural thing in the world, right? What happened yesterday was I didn't plan to write anything, but in the evening I was so excited because I had an idea, right? I had an actual idea, and it just poured out of me. And I sat down for 2 hours and I wrote like 3 pages or something. And I didn't have to think. It just, it basically wrote itself, right? First of all, way more fun than forcing yourself, right? Or myself in that example. And the quality, like you can't compare the quality if it's really from this like inspiration, or if you just force yourself to write a reasonable amount of words or pages or something, right? Completely different things, right? Now we okay, I only have 2 minutes left, but so we have learned to kind of like ignore that thing that we call interest, right? There are different reasons for that, right? Like at some point, we were dependent on our parents, our teachers, and all this stuff. So like because they gave us validation, they gave us food, they gave us shelter, clothing, whatever. So when they wanted us to do something, even though it was not in our like interest, right, we still did it. But because at some point we kind of started to understand, okay, it makes sense to do that. But as little babies, as little children, it's actually very unnatural. Like when you like they're still so aligned with this thing. When you force them to do something they don't want to do, they get very upset. They start crying. Like they can be very like angry, right? So imagine if you like every time you're hungry, you just ignore it and you just drink water. And every time you're thirsty, you ignore it and you just eat even more food, even though you're not hungry, right? Now you would like, I don't know, after a few days or weeks, right? Probably you will just die. You will physically die, right? The same thing happens when you don't follow your interest. Well, you don't physically die, but it's like you're dead inside, right? This is why people who are doing all the right things, like logically, right, following the rules and whatever, they're like dead inside. They don't have like any spark in their eyes anymore because they never do anything that is interesting, right? They never follow their interest. Now, again, for little children, this is the most obvious thing in the world. Just follow the interest, because how would you know what to do, right? Imagine you're born and your parents die and there's no one else. Like how would you know how to navigate this life? This is why you have feelings and emotions, right? This is when you're hungry, you will you will not be able to even concentrate on anything else until you get some food, right? You know that. It's because it's guidance, it's communication. And the thing that is communicating with you, again, you can call it what you want, but it's obviously very intelligent. So it knows, for example, on like 2 days ago, it knew exactly that I should study this thing. So it gave me the interest of the feeling of interest, right, about this thing. I don't know how much I've learned from this or how I will use it in the future, but I can understand now that following the source, following this interest, is exactly the same like following hunger and thirst.